You know that moment in the morning when someone says, "I had the craziest dream," and you're just standing there like, must be nice. Because you've got nothing. No dream. No blurry images. Just a vague sense that you time traveled 8 hours into the future and woke up with a pillow crease on your face. And people love to make it weirdly personal, like, oh my god, you don't remember your dreams? That means you're stressed, or that means you're not creative, or that means your soul is blocked, which is a sentence that should get you politely removed from brunch. So what's actually going on in the brains of people who don't remember their dreams? First, the big misconception. Not remembering dreams usually does not mean you didn't dream. Most people dream multiple times a night. The real question is, why didn't your brain save it as a memory you can access later? Because dream recall is less about having dreams and more about catching them. Your brain has to wake up at the right moment and then decide, in basically a split second, this is worth storing. And your brain is famously cheap. It throws away perfectly good information every day, including the location of your keys and the name of that actor you swear you know. Dream recall depends heavily on timing. A lot of vivid dreaming happens during REM sleep, and if you wake up during or right after REM, you're way more likely to remember something. If you wake up in a deeper stage, your dream content is either less vivid, or it's already been wiped like a whiteboard. So some people aren't non-dreamers, they're just consistently waking up in the wrong chapter, and that's where sleep architecture comes in. People have different patterns of REM, deep sleep, and micro-awakenings, and those little brief awakenings matter. They're like the brain's save button. If you have more tiny awakenings during the night, you're more likely to remember dreams because you're popping into a state where memory systems can actually do their job. If you sleep like a rock, congratulations, you might be healthier, and also you're missing out on the free nightly cinema. There's also the attention factor. Dream recall is partly a skill, partly an interest, and partly a habit. If you wake up and immediately grab your phone, your brain gets an instant hit of fresh, structured information. Notifications, time, tasks, world news, someone arguing online. Your dream, which is already fragile and weird, gets bulldozed by reality. But if you lie there for 10 seconds and ask, what was I just experiencing? You're giving your brain a chance to reconstruct the thread. Memory is not a video file you open. It's more like a rumor you reassemble. And if you don't try to reconstruct the dream immediately, it disappears. It's not that you forgot it, it's that you never finished encoding it. Here's what nobody talks about. Your waking personality can influence whether you bother to store dreams. Some people are naturally more externally oriented. They wake up and their mind is instantly on action, problem solving, schedule, responsibilities. Their brain goes, great, we're awake. Where's the to-do list? Dream content, which is emotional and symbolic and chaotic, doesn't feel useful to that system. So it gets labeled as noise. Other people are more internally oriented. They wake up and their brain lingers. They're more likely to notice lingering emotions, weird images, half stories. That doesn't make them deeper. It makes them tuned differently. In psychology terms, dream recall tends to correlate with traits like openness to experience and absorption, which is basically the ability to get mentally immersed. If you're the kind of person who gets lost in music, stories, daydreaming, or your own thoughts, you might also be the kind of person who catches dreams more easily. But that's correlation, not destiny. You can train recall just by paying attention, which is annoying because it means you can't blame your genetics forever. Now, let's talk about stress, because yes, stress can affect dream recall, but not in the Instagram way people claim. Stress can change sleep quality, increase awakenings, reduce REM in some cases, increase it in others, and make your nights more fragmented. Sometimes that fragmentation increases recall because you keep surfacing. Sometimes stress creates heavier, more exhausted sleep where you drop into deep stages and wake up disoriented and blank. Also, if you're stressed, you may remember the emotional tone more than the plot. Like you wake up thinking something bad happened, but you can't tell if it was an elevator, your teeth falling out, or your boss turning into a bee. That's because emotional memory and narrative memory aren't the same system. The amygdala can tag a feeling without giving you the storyline. And if you're someone who's good at emotional suppression during the day, you might be good at dismissing weird emotional residue in the morning too. Not because you're broken, because you've practiced. Another layer is simple brain chemistry. During REM sleep, the brain's neurochemistry is different from waking life. Some neurotransmitters involved in stable memory encoding, like norepinephrine, are lower in REM. That means dreams are naturally harder to store as coherent memories. So to remember a dream, you often need a little bridge into wakefulness where the brain's save function comes back online. People who wake up slowly, or who snooze and drift in and out, might accidentally create more of that bridge. People who wake up instantly to an alarm and jump into the day might have a clean, brutal transition that deletes everything. Basically, some of you are too efficient. Imagine bragging about that, but here we are. Medications and substances can play a role too. Alcohol, weed, certain antidepressants, sleep aids, even irregular caffeine use can alter REM and memory. And this is where it gets weird. Some things can reduce REM early on, then cause a rebound later. So someone might think, I never dream, when actually their dream patterns are shifting around and their recall is inconsistent. It's not a moral failing, it's biochemistry and timing. Now, what does not remembering dreams say about your brain? It can say you're a deeper sleeper, or you have fewer nighttime awakenings, or you transition quickly into waking cognition. It can say your attention in the morning is externally captured. It can also say you don't treat dreams as important, so your brain learned not to store them. Because your brain is an efficiency machine, if you never use a piece of information, it stops prioritizing it. Think of it like a streaming service, noticing you always click, skip, recap. Eventually it's like, fine, no recaps for you. But there's also a protective angle. Dreams can be emotionally intense. If someone has a history of anxiety, trauma, or just a chronic sense of being overwhelmed, their mind might not love hanging on to bizarre emotional content upon waking. Not as some magical defense where your brain is heroically shielding you from truth, but more like the system prefers clarity and control. And dream memories are the opposite of control. They're slippery. They don't fit into your normal identity story. Some people don't like that feeling, so they don't dwell. And if you don't dwell, you don't remember. Compare that to people who vividly remember dreams. They often talk about them, write them down, analyze them, tell their friends, Google them, and sometimes act like their subconscious is running a podcast. That reinforces recall. Memory loves rehearsal. If you treat dreams like meaningless nonsense, your brain is like, perfect, I will take that feedback and delete them faster. Neither group is more evolved. One group is just more likely to curate a morning scrapbook of nonsense. There's also the cultural piece. In some families, dreams are discussed like weather. In others, dreams are ignored or even considered creepy. If you grew up in a house where dreams were never talked about, you might not have built the habit of noticing them. And habits matter because recall is surprisingly behavioral. People who keep a dream journal often see recall improve within days, not because they suddenly started dreaming more, but because they started catching the transition state and telling their brain, hey, this matters. The brain responds to what gets rewarded with attention. One more contradiction? People with great memory in daily life don't always remember dreams better. Because it's not just memory capacity, it's the state change. It's like trying to remember something you thought of while falling asleep. Your brain is in a different mode. The information doesn't transfer cleanly across modes. That's called state-dependent memory. And dreams are basically the ultimate state-dependent content. You created it in a brain state you don't normally operate in during daylight. So if you wake up and feel nothing, that might mean your state switch was clean, efficient, brutal, like closing 50 browser tabs at once. So the next time someone hits you with, you don't remember your dreams? That's so sad. Remember, you're probably dreaming just fine. Your brain just isn't keeping the receipt. And whether that's because you sleep deeply, wake up quickly, focus outward, or simply don't care about your nightly surrealist theater, it doesn't mean you're uncreative or emotionally blocked. It means your brain has decided dreams are not a priority file. And honestly, in a world where you already have too many files open, that's not the worst setting to have.